I'm going to walk you guys through how to start making a digital negative for our cyanotype project. So once you have your image opened in Photoshop, the first thing you'll want to do is resize it. So to resize it, we have to go to Image, Image Size, and our digital negatives can only be 8 by 10. So I always leave all the scale and constrained proportions so we can keep it accurate. And Photoshop will do the rest for you. So if it's a horizontal image, you'll put the width in at 10. If it's vertical, you'll do the height at 10. You always want to make sure it's just smaller than 8 by 10, which my height is. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And it's pretty small now, so I'm going to Command plus to zoom in. And remember, we always need to duplicate our layers so we're not working, so we're not destroying the negative, so we're working non-destructive. So Command J is the shortcut, and it will automatically duplicate it. And sometimes I just retitle the layer, so I'll call it duplicate layer. From here, we need to convert our image to black and white. If your image is already black and white, you can skip this step, but since my image is in color, I need to go ahead and do that. So my little black and white cookie down here at the bottom of my layers panel, when I click on it, I have all kinds of options. My black and white is right here, so I'm going to click the black and white, and here's where I can choose my black and white for myself to get a regular, nice black and white print like you would in the darkroom. I don't encourage you to hit auto because I would like you to see a nice black and white print for yourself and experiment by moving all the levels. You don't want it too contrasty, so I see the lights hitting her left side of the face, so you don't want that to be a blown out area. And this looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and close my layer back in. And now I'm going to click back on my duplicate layer, and here you can play around with the brightness and contrast if you need to. I don't think she needs a lot of brightness and contrast in this print. You don't want it too contrasty. So I did it just a little. So now what's really important, once you have your brightness and contrast, your black and white image, now you want to go ahead and compress this. So if I click on this top layer, go down to the bottom, hold Shift, and click on the background, then I can Control right click on a Mac, and I can say Merge Layers. So now I have one whole layer, okay? Everything's compressed in there. I need to go back to my black and white cookie, and I need to go to curves. Now, the thing about the curves is I can't tell you exactly what numbers your input and output need to be, which will register as you move this guy up. What I can tell you is you want to look for a matted effect. You want it to be a little matte in color and like sheen. So I'm pulling my left one up a little, and then I'm going to go to the far top right and pull that down. I'm pulling straight down and straight up. Okay, so this looks pretty good to me. It's not crazy contrasty, but I have some matte effect happening. Okay, so once you have that, then click on the background layer, and you're going to do Command I, which is to inverse it and make it a negative. Now, when I'm here at the Command I can see right now this is way too contrasty for my negative. So I'm going to hit Command I again. I'm going to double click on the little black and white cookie on my curves, and I'm going to lower my right side down just a little bit more, and maybe move this up just a little bit on the left. Get rid of my properties panel, and then I'll go back to my background and do Command I. And that looks pretty good. So this is now going to be a digital negative. So anywhere that's white on here will be a really dark blue cyanotype. Anywhere that's black will turn white on the cyanotype. So this is basically a negative that you would have in the darkroom. So when you're done, you need to make sure you keep a curves one and a background layer. You need to make sure you keep both of these, because sometimes when I print your negative for you, I'll go back and adjust your curves to ensure that you have a really nice negative to work with when you go outside. So to save it, we're going to go to File, Save As, and you're going to save it as a PSD on your desktop, and go ahead and save it by your last name and call it Cyano1. Remember, you're making 5 cyanotypes, so work in sequential order, and then you'll save it on your desktop, and when you're done with it, you'll drop it into our Google Drive folder that says PSD Digital Negative Turn In. You can see some people have already started turning their negatives in. And so when you turn them in, I'll go ahead and download them and print them out. And then you'll have a digital negative to go outside with your coated paper. You'll make 3 landscape ones. You can do traditional cyanotype like this one is. Same with here, traditional blue color. There isn't any toning happening. And then we can also experiment with toning. We have sodium bicarbonate to bleach it out. Tannic acid, which is basically like black tea, will give it this almost like a muted gray color. And this is also with a bleaching effect. And then hydrogen peroxide will make the blues richer. And it's all about experimenting right now. So you can use all 3 toners to get a different effect. So this appears to me that they bleached it for a little bit and then they put it in tannic acid because you can see a little bit of brown popping in there. So the blues kind of are turning to a green. Here's another example of a really nice bleached print. And then they did tannic acid. Same here, you can always tell by those gray-green look. And then here's a traditional cyanotype that they put in hydrogen peroxide for a little bit. Okay, so when you're done, you'll turn everything in and all the paper's coated and in the darkroom for you to work with.